Hi everyone, my name is Alex Villarina, and today I will be presenting to you my evidence-based practice change project with the title of Task-Oriented Training versus Constraint-Induced Movement Therapy. So just to give a brief overview of what to expect during my presentation is I will be providing a brief introduction about myself. I will then discuss the significance of the practice problem and how that developed into my PICO question, as well as discussing the types of patients that were included in the study and the setting that the study was taking place. I will also discuss my search strategy of how I found my final 6 articles, as well as giving you a brief overview of what each article found and how it supported or not supported my PICO question. I will then discuss how I can evaluate my final results through a data-based evaluation. I will also discuss a change model that I think is applicable to my presentation. Then I will discuss how I can disseminate my results, who my stakeholders are, and then we'll also discuss what my recommendations are for practice, and then we will end with the conclusion. And so a little bit about myself. I am an occupational therapist. I work with both the pediatric population as well as the geriatric population, and I provide both clinic-based services and home-based services. Right now, I have my Master's of Science in Occupational Therapy, and like many of you, I am pursuing my post-professional occupational therapy doctorate degree here at the University of St. Augustine for Health Sciences. And aside from being an occupational therapist and a student, I am also an avid marathon runner. The significance of my practice problem is that 1 in every 4 Americans experience a stroke. And with a stroke, a patient may have physical impairments, emotional impairments, and cognitive impairments. With these types of impairments, a patient may have a difficult time participating in meaningful tasks that really help them live a meaningful life. And the role of occupational therapy for this type of population is that we are able to help stroke patients regain their motor skills as well as their participation in completing these day-to-day activities. However, with the different types of intervention approaches, occupational therapists, as well as myself, including, we have a hard time really determining which intervention is effective when treatment planning for stroke patients, especially when we are given such a short amount of time when treating these patients. And this is why I chose my specific practice problem, because I really want to determine and identify which intervention I can use when treating stroke patients to really help them make sure that I am treating them effectively so they're able to live a meaningful life. With that being said, my PICO question that I developed is, in adult patients who experience a stroke, is task-oriented training more effective than constraint-induced movement therapy to improve motor function of the affected upper extremity over a period of 6 weeks? And I chose these 2 interventions, task-oriented training and constraint-induced movement therapy, because I have experience utilizing both of these interventions. And it's still unclear to me as to which is more effective when treating stroke patients. And I chose a time frame of 6 weeks because a lot of the articles that I found during my literature search utilized the same time frame, and they were able to find effective results. The types of patients that were included in my study were either adult male or females between the ages of 25 and 65 years old. And these patients had to experience the stroke really recent, which is about a 2 to 6 week period before receiving the intervention. And with the stroke, they were affected in one of the upper limbs. And in order to be included in the study, they still had to have some movement in that paretic upper limb. The patients that were not included in the study were patients who had pain or severe spasticity in the paretic upper limb, if they had any musculoskeletal impairments in the paretic upper limb, as well as any cognitive or mental impairments. The setting that the study was taking place was subacute facilities, different units of the hospital, as well as outpatient facilities. During my search for the articles, I utilized two databases, and they were PubMed and OTSeeker. When finding articles for my study, I decided to include really pretty recent articles to make sure that they were relevant and applicable to current practice, and the time frame was 2010 and 2020. And so with PubMed and OTSeeker, I used keywords such as stroke rehabilitation, I used occupational therapy for stroke, I used constraint-induced movement therapy, task-oriented training, as well as rehabilitation for the stroke population. And with PubMed, I found a total of 163 citations. And with OTSeeker, I found a total of 4,061 citations. It was a lot, but I was very excited to know that there were a lot of research out there to help me find some conclusion to my PCOT question. And after including only peer-reviewed or full-text articles, I was able to narrow it down to 343 articles. From those articles, I screened the title of the articles as well as read the abstract and was able to narrow it down to 38 articles that were all full-text or peer-reviewed. And after applying my inclusion and exclusion criteria, I was able to finalize my 6 articles. So now I'm going to talk about the 3 articles that I found that supported task-oriented training. And with the first article, they found how stroke patients who participated in the task-oriented training group actually completed the tasks at a quicker rate, meaning that they had an improved motor function once completing this type of intervention. The second article talked about how the patients who received task-oriented training not only performed improved motor function of the paretic limb, but they also performed improved quality of movement when completing the functional tasks. And lastly, the third article was finding that with the task-oriented training, the stroke patients not only performed better in their fine motor dexterity, meaning in their fingers, hand, and wrist, but also with the gross motor dexterity of the paretic limb. And with that being said, the improved motor function translated to also the elbow as well as the shoulder of the paretic limb. And so with the articles that I found to include constraint-induced movement therapy, only 2 out of the 3 articles supported this type of intervention that deemed appropriate for stroke patients. And the first article compared this intervention to standard physical therapy treatment, and the researchers found that CIMT is more effective for stroke patients versus standard physical therapy treatment. The second article discussed how CIMT scored the same when compared to bimanual task training intervention. However, CIMT did show significant results in regards to improving the grasping and pinching motor skills of the paretic limb for stroke patients. And the third article compared CIMT to bimanual training again. However, this article found that CIMT did not show significant results when compared to bimanual training, and how bimanual training actually scored better than CIMT. And the researchers discussed how this may be due to the types of patients that were included in the study, and how CIMT is too soon for subacute patients to participate in, and subacute patients may be more beneficial when receiving bimanual coordination intervention approaches or the bimanual training. And so with that being said, it sounds a lot like CIMT did not support my PCOT question, and how stroke patients may be more beneficial to task-oriented training. With my results, how I plan to evaluate them is by utilizing a randomized controlled trial with pre- and post-test during a 6-week time period. With this quantitative study, I will be obtaining ratio variables, and the assessment that I'll be using is the Wolf Motor Function Test. And with this assessment, it was made specifically for the stroke patients, and it includes 21 items with timed functional tasks that the patients are expected to complete. With my analysis, I will utilize a paired t-test since I am utilizing ratio variables. And how I will find statistical results, I will use a statistical package for the social sciences, also known as SPSS, with a p-value of 0.01. And the outcome of my database evaluation is increased motor function of paretic upper extremity. And with the Wolf Motor Function Test, this assesses just that, since it's looking at improved motor function and completion of timed and functional tasks. The change model I decided to utilize when proposing my change is the Rogers' diffusion of innovation. And the steps of this change model includes knowledge, persuasion, decision, implementation, and confirmation. Now, with these steps, Rogers proposes that we are able to maintain and sustain proposed change within an organization. And what was interesting about this change model, I found that not only did Rogers discuss the steps of how to implement change, but also how important it is to communicate to our stakeholders. Since we have so many stakeholders that we have in mind to disseminate our results, it's important to use language that they understand, so they're able to understand why it's important with this change that we're proposing, and that way we can get the buy-in from our stakeholders. How I plan to disseminate my results is locally, I can hold it in-service meetings within the rehabilitation department. Institutionally, I can present my results to schools teaching occupational therapy students, physical therapy students, or other healthcare disciplines that may work with stroke patients. And then nationally, I can present my results at the American Occupational Therapy Association conference, as well as a Stroke Association conference. I think it's important that I disseminate my results in conferences because I can educate other healthcare workers, such as occupational therapists, physical therapists, as well as improving and increasing the collaboration between the healthcare disciplines. My stakeholders that I will disseminate my results to include healthcare disciplines other than occupational therapy. So like what I mentioned, physical therapists, registered nurses. I can disseminate my results to patients just so we can get that buy-in from patients so they can really understand why we are utilizing a specific intervention approach. And lastly, I can also share my results to administrative staff and executive members of the hospital that I would like my change to be held in. That way we can get upper management to really help me disseminate and help me implement the change that I propose. So with that being said, task-oriented training is more effective than constraint-induced movement therapy because it's goal-oriented, it's consistent, it's efficient, and it can also help increase the motivation of the stroke patients to participate in the rehabilitation process, since at times the rehabilitation process can be very difficult and can be very tedious to some stroke patients. And with task-oriented training, since it is goal-oriented and it's able to facilitate meaningful tasks during treatment, it can result in improved patient outcomes as well as improved quality of life. And so to conclude my presentation, I did find that task-oriented training is more effective than constraint-induced movement therapy because it did improve the motor function of the paretic limb by improving the quality of movement when completing functional tasks, as well as improving the efficiency and consistency of the results with the task-oriented training when disseminating it to different patients. And with the given change model, we are able to sustain the change that I propose within the healthcare facility, as well as talking to the different stakeholders to make sure that I have the buy-in from all of them. And that way we can make sure that the change is consistent throughout the years. And so that concludes my presentation for today. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions or feedback, please let me know. And thank you for your time.